There's a time to have the debates and the discussions about what we should do or could do. But right now, I think what we need to do is, as a nation, put our collective arms around these families and love them, pray for them, support them, and let there be some grieving and some healing.
A man with many important titles, including a new one. Yes, he is the former governor of Arkansas. He is a two-time presidential candidate. He's the host of a highly rated program here on TBN. And today, he is also the proud father of his daughter, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who blew away the opposition in her quest for the Republican nomination for governor of Arkansas this Tuesday. Governor Huckabee, do they still have the Huckabee nameplate at the State House on the doors?
Well, hopefully they'll keep it around. Doug, it was a great night for Sarah and for our family, and I like to think a great night for Arkansas. What a delightful evening. I told somebody it was like being the father of the bride all over again, but this time I didn't have to pay for the reception. So it was a double whammy of a great night.
And if things work out in November, then you've got a governor's mansion to retreat to if you don't like your own house, I guess. Or if you get kicked out of your own house.
Yeah, I was evicted from the governor's mansion a few years back, so it's the only time I've ever been thrown out of public housing. But that was because my term ended. A funny thing is, today is my wedding anniversary. My wife and I have been married 48 years, and in that 48 years, we lived longer in the governor's mansion than any home that we have lived in our entire marriage. So maybe Sarah will have a pretty good run, too. I hope so. The interesting thing for her will be that she will be the first governor in Arkansas, and maybe one of the few ever, if the first ever, that will go back to live in a house that she grew up in, all because of the title governor. So it'll be an interesting time for her and her kids, and we just couldn't be more excited. And she's worked hard. She got 83+% of the vote.
Wow.
Which I think for most politicians is, I'd call that a pretty good night.
Yeah, it's well beyond a squeaker, isn't it? What kind of advice have you been giving her?
I tell people I'm her senior advisor, Doug. Let me explain what that means. At this stage of my life, I'm a senior citizen, and I babysit her kids quite a bit, and I advise them when it's time for them to go to bed. So that's my main role as a senior advisor. But I certainly am there to offer some advice and counsel, but only when I'm asked, because she's certainly capable of running her own campaign. She's an extraordinarily brilliant young lady. I'm very proud of her in that. And most importantly, I think I'm proud of the fact that she has genuinely deep core convictions about what she believes is right. She is first and foremost a person who is committed to her faith. She is a biblically oriented believer in Christ, and I find that refreshing, because I know that means that she gets up every day not trying to please the New York Times or the Washington Post or CNN. Her job is to please the Creator that made her and to be the best person and the best wife and the best mom she can be. I appreciate that in her more than anything.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine that watching your daughter go through the fire of running a gubernatorial race like this and taking the slings and arrows of opposition and media and all that sort of stuff is probably harder than taking it yourself.
Well, in some ways, but she's grown up seeing all of this, so it's not something unbeknownst to her, and I think that gives her a great advantage. A lot of people in their very first political race are a little bit shell-shocked by what they experience. They think, well, I'm a nice person. Why are people doing this to me? She had no such illusions that everybody would love her. And so I think it's been kind of helpful that she spent her entire life in the shadow of a political circle. So this is something she's uniquely prepared for. I like to tell people she can be as tough as a tiger, but as tender as just a kind, loving mom.
That sounds wonderful. Well, I'm sure you must be very, very proud. I cannot let you go without you weighing in on the massacre in Texas of these innocents. Your observations.
Well, it's certainly made for a tough day yesterday for all of us. Here we're trying to celebrate an election, but frankly, biggest story of the day and the biggest, I think, just agony of the day was watching the horrific murders of those children down in Texas. And I think what was sad was that you had some people that, before the bodies even had been removed from the classroom, were already trying to politicize this. There's a time to have the debates and the discussions about what we should do or could do. But right now, I think what we need to do is, as a nation, put our collective arms around these families and love them, pray for them, support them, and let there be some grieving and some healing. And then there'll be plenty of time for the politicians to stand up and debate what could be done, if anything. And that's an appropriate discussion to have. Mm-hmm. But today, all attention needs to be focused on these families who have lost a child.
Well, I agree. You gave me an opening. I wasn't going to ask you about this, but since you talked already about the politicization of this tragedy, would you comment on Beto O'Rourke's showing up at the press conference of Governor Abbott today?
You know, Doug, I've seen some what I call boneheaded political stunts in my life. I've probably done a few myself. But I cannot imagine that anyone suggested to him that it was a good idea to exploit a press conference in which the governor of the state, who was elected to be the governor, would be interrupted by a guy who's trying to want to be governor, by heckling the governor in the midst of this grief, and to try to inject himself into a forum where it was inappropriate, ill-timed, and frankly, just plain in poor taste. And I hope he will apologize to the families for trying to use their grief as a platform for his own ambition. That's just disgustingly beneath the pale for anybody who wants to be a public servant.
Well said, Governor. Give my best to your daughter. I'm sure you must be tremendously proud of her. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Saturday.
Looking forward to it, Doug. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.